Dr. Ellis, you have 5 minutes now.
Thank you very much, Sharon, and thanks everyone for being here. To you, Ms. Jeffrey, you talked about security clearances being reviewed on a regular basis. Can you talk about what the current policy is?
The current security screening process for security clearances at the secret level requires review every 10 years unless incidents arise that require a review for cause of that clearance, as was the case in this situation.
Thank you very much. And through you, Chair, can you tell us before this incident, when were these security clearances for, just for Dr. Qiu, when was it last reviewed before this incident?
I'm sorry, I don't have that information at hand.
Could you please provide that to the committee, please?
Yes.
Thank you for that. Are there any health scientists of any nationality currently working for the Government of Canada who have participated in one of the over 200 PRC talent recruitment programs?
I'm not able to comment on that. I can comment about the processes at the Public Health Agency, where we require conflict of interest and affiliation declarations from all of our scientists, indeed from all of our personnel. And I can say that participation in talent programs of foreign countries, if declared, would be a significant conflict of interest and would not be accepted.
Thank you for that. And through you, Chair, can you tell the committee, to the best of your knowledge, are there any employees working at labs in Canada now who are members of talent programs?
Sorry, Mr. Chair, I'm unable to comment on labs across the country. I can only comment on the declared affiliations and conflicts of interest of the staff at the Public Health Agency, as I previously mentioned.
Yes, so how many scientists would fall into that?
Monsieur le Président.
Point of order.
Yes, Mr. Villemur.
Comme indiqué plus.
As previously said, as I mentioned earlier, Ms. Jeffrey is trailing off. Her voice is trailing off, and I can't hear the end of her questions, of her answers, rather.
Okay, I'll give some floor cues. Okay, all right. Do you need the preceding answer to be repeated, Mr. Villemur?
Oui, s'il vous plaît.
Yes, please.
Okay, I've stopped the clock, so if you can repeat that, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. What I can say is, first of all, I'm the deputy head of the Public Health Agency of Canada. I'm not in a position to comment on the participation of scientists across the country. I can comment on the work of the personnel that belong to the Public Health Agency. I can say that they're required to submit declarations of affiliations for research and also conflict of interest. If they were, those types of talent programs would be required to be declared. If they were declared, they would constitute a conflict of interest and would not be allowed, given the nature of their work. And in the case that's at issue today, the scientists hid and, in fact, lied about those affiliations. And when they were discovered, those scientists were terminated because of that.
Thank you very much. Just to be clear, Chair, I would suggest I have 3 minutes left. Am I clear with that?
Yep.
Thank you very much. Dr. Lucas, what we heard from Ms. Jeffrey just now is that there be no scientists known to be participating in any talent programs that the Government of Canada would be aware of. Is that your indication as well, sir?
Mr. Chair, similar to the response of Madame Jeffrey, I can speak to Health Canada and the regulatory scientists in Health Canada who perform product reviews in the context of the Food and Drug Act and other statutes are subject to the same requirements in terms of declarations of conflict of interest and affiliations. And on the basis of those, to our knowledge, there are no affiliations or conflicts of concern, including talent programs.
Thank you very much. No, thank you for that, Dr. Lucas. Through you, Chair, I'll ask the same question to Ms. Hudgens. Are you aware of any scientists with declared affiliations with talent programs who are currently working for the Government of Canada?
Thank you for the question. The answer to that question is similar to that of Ms. Jeffrey and Dr. Lucas. I have no knowledge of that and am unable to make that blanket assertion.
Thank you. Through you, Chair, to Ms. Jeffrey, we now know that the Dr. Qiu's computer was mirrored in about February of 2019. Yet, in spite of all that, shipments of Ebola and Henipavirus were allowed to continue on March 31st, 2019. Do you think that's appropriate?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. As I mentioned, there was extensive international collaboration in responding to the Ebola outbreak that took place in West Africa from 2014 to 2016. The work that the National Microbiology Lab and indeed the life's work of Dr. Qiu was in therapeutics to respond to Ebola. The collaboration that was taking place was authorized and was fully approved through the procedures that were in place.
Thanks, Ms. Jeffrey. Through you, Chair, if I might interrupt you, I apologize for that, but I didn't ask you if they were approved. I asked you, do you think it's appropriate given what you now know?
I think that international collaboration on therapeutics for pathogens and toxins continues to be very important to the development of the science. I would say that obviously in hindsight, given the activities of these scientists, which emerged much later in that timeline, and evidence of those activities, we would obviously look at decisions that were taken around their work sooner, but the work of collaboration on Ebola continued to be an international priority. And indeed, many countries, Canada included, the United States, but also including China, were active in Western Africa, responding on the ground to the Ebola outbreak. And it was in that vein that the collaboration was approved and the work authorized.
Thank you, Dr. Ellis.